there's a work group that started. It really started with the chamber. The chamber decided, hey, look, back when DMV was coming to town, a lot of folks were saying, we're not going to Rocky Mount. We're not going to make the drive. It's a problem. So they was trying to come up with some sort of alternate solution.
Okay.
So one of the things was, well, hey, let's just do a commuter bus. And we're not talking about like a Greyhound bus. We're talking about, basically a travel bus that your Carolina basketball team would be a part of, or Duke, and has Wi-Fi. It's very comfortable. And if you can create that loop back and forth to Raleigh, then that's where people were living. Then that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So flash forward, it never really got any legs. Good news is a lot of those people did quit. And the other good news is a lot of those people live here in Rocky Mount.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In the area. I'm telling you, it has been tremendous. I mean, the recruitment class, and we'll come back to that. But so then this next question is, we're dealing with the Gateways Partnership, and we're dealing with, I'm sure Nash County is dealing with it similar fashion. Everybody says, well, great, where are people going to come from? Mm-hmm. And you start looking at the radius concentric circles out. And when you get out about 60, 70 miles, 90 miles, we have about 3-4 million people in our catchment area.
Wow.
But they don't live here.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, how do you create access? How do you create that? And so during all of this, we had sort of a little small discussion work group with the COG was part of it. We've had some city representation as part of it, but really it's more of a think tank. We had a group come to us, Southern Express, I think they are. They're the same people who charter buses for Carolina and for the football team, basketball team, and all that, and other universities. And so they're familiar with it. And say, hey, look, we'd like to do this. And we believe that we can be that charter system, basically. And so we went to all the employers. I mean, we went to Honeywell, to Cummings, to because I was doing a thing called re-recruit the keepers, So we got all this industry, what we got to do to make them happy, how do we create retention, and how do we create expansion? Because it's much easier to get Cummins to add another 300 jobs than it is to recruit a whole nother industry to come in to do the same 300 jobs.
Right.
And one of the issues was, I got 20-year-old guys coming in as engineers. They'll live here for a year or two. And then, Raleigh's just got bigger, brighter lights, and if you're 20-something, you're single, and, it's just a little bit more of an attractive environment. Right. But if we had that system, we would even consider paying for part of that, And as a recruitment tool, it would be something that would be beneficial to us because, they're also competing, out there in the world for engineers and whatnot. And Honeywell said it, and Cummings said it, and Sarah Lee, and, we just went through the list, and about 20 of those employers all signed basically a letter of intent and a letter of support for what we were doing. So then what the city could do for them is to open up access to some federal transportation funds.
Absolutely.
And so the group asked the city, hey, look, would you sign on to this project? And so they made an application. And there's those matching funds for the city. This is just, it would just be a pass through. Okay. It doesn't impact Tar River Transit. It doesn't impact anything we've got. So that's the first thing everybody automatically goes. The money actually ties to the green initiatives. In other words, if I can reduce the number of cars on the road, I've reduced the number of emissions. There's a lot of federal monies out there associated with that. And this project would fit within that. So the idea then is, okay, Raleigh to Rocky Mount becomes an easy first start, proof of concept. Assuming that works, we want to add Greenville, Wilson in the next leg, and then we want to add Roanoke Rapids in the third, fourth year, and then we want to add basically a loop that takes you up to Elizabeth City through Kitty Hawk, Nags Head, looping back down 264, coming back to Rocky Mount. And so the idea now is we can produce this catchment area of folks who can live in place, but they can come to Rocky Mount. And what I want out of it is I want us to be the hub.
Got it.
I want us to be the hub because I believe that if I'm signing on to this program, at some point I'm going to say, I really want to live in Rocky Mount. It's just easier. This is fine. But you got to create that affordable way for folks to be able to get back and forth too.
Absolutely.
When you look at what keeps people in poverty, either it's childcare or it's like consistent transportation.
Yeah.
So if I can create a job no matter where you live and I can create the consistent transportation back and forth that's more than affordable and maybe even something that the government will pay for or that your employer might will pay for, well, that's just a win for us.
Absolutely.